Mostly because the guy was genuinely an oracle. That is why he knew things others would not know. However, in the off chance he was not, then he was someone who needed to be monitored closely. He knew too much. Pelopon said, "My dear, we do not need to verify my words. The Queen of the Elves will not face any questions about her moral character." She pleaded with fear evident in her voice to Fry. She knew that if the flames were indeed brought out here, she would be caught. There would be no more escape. Fry already knew that Pelopon was guilty, but he had to save the face and prestige of the royal family, even just for show. Hence he said, "I will bring out the flames, Bishop, but you will put your freedom on the line. Should you be found to be lying, you shall be imprisoned in the dungeons and whipped 100 times every day for the next 3 years. Do you accept it?" He questioned Rudra. Pelopon beamed. He hoped that this would deter Rudra, but Rudra only instantly agreed. He said, "Sure, I agree." Fry nodded. He told his general to bring out the flames. It was at this point that Rudra started explaining his plan to Johnny, Yum and Karna. Johnny was tasked with not letting a seemingly unimpressive minister escape the court, while Yum was tasked with restraining the royal prince once he bolts. Finally, Rudra murmured to Karna about his bit in his ears. Karna's eyes widened in shock, but he quickly agreed. 5 minutes had passed, and the flames were brought in the court. The dazzling blue flames were beautiful to watch, even though they were only as large as a plate. They burned so intensely that the temperature of the room increased by almost 57 degrees because of its presence. Fry motioned towards Pelopon, saying, "Go on, prove the human wrong. Let's get this over with, dear." His eyes gleaming coldly. The way he said "let's get this over with" made Pelopon feel a deep chill down her spine. It felt like he was threatening to kill her life. Walking slowly towards the flame, Pelopon suddenly tried to bolt away and towards the exit. However, before she could even take 3 steps, the royal guards had snubbed her to the ground and restrained her. Pelopon started to wail. "You barbarian Fry! How dare you let your wife be questioned like that? I spit on you. Yes, I cheated on you with a servant. But that is because you only had that bitch Sarah in your eyes. I was never loved for. Never cared for. It was only one night, but the servant got me pregnant. His seed was much more potent than yours, which failed 10 ti." Before she could complete her words, her head flew off her shoulder. She was dead, killed in the court before hundreds of people by the royal guards. The Queen of the Elves was a cheater, and the first prince was a bastard who was not even a high elf. The once silenced crowd erupted in clamors. This was an earth-shattering event for the Elven Kingdom. Rumi knew he had no more options left. He could only use his ultimate skill and escape from this place. However, not before killing Ruby first. If she could not become his, he would not let her become anyone else's either. He was only waiting for his chance. And that chance appeared when the king rose from his throne to pick up the decapitated head of his mother. He felt very bad that his loving mother was dead. However, he committed the name and face of the culprit behind her death, the honorary Bishop Shikuni, and swore to avenge her someday. Finally, he activated his special ability invisibility, as in the chaos, he silently disappeared from all eyes. Dagger in hand, he planned on assassinating the princess before escaping. The royal guards around him suddenly panicked, as the prisoner they were guarding had suddenly disappeared. Their detection skills could not find him. Rumi was very confident in his skill, as it stemmed from a semi-legendary artifact. It avoided all detection spells and made one disappear to naked vision. However, unbeknownst to him, a certain Vice Guild master of the True Elites Guild had closed his eyes, using his mind's eye to scan the room. He could still see the wicked prince with his dagger out. Karna smiled. He got him. / bonus chapter for the reaching the golden ticket target. Releasing 2 chapters back to back. Enjoy. Hopefully tomorrow will also be a 3-chapter day like today, and we can complete more targets. / Chapter 193, Saving the Princess. The royal guards panicked. They were looking for the first prince everywhere. Fry noticed the commotion and tried to locate the bastard too. Rudra took out the elven sword and Excalibur, as he rushed in front of the princess, vigilant of any and all incoming attacks. Although he was in front of the princess, his swords crossed, making a protective stance around her. He was only looking at Karna. Karna was tracking the bastard through his mind's eyes, and was waiting for him to be in range. When Rumi made his move, he gave Rudra the signal. Rudra made his move at that very instant, using the Elven Sword Sceptial move World Slash, a move containing 400% of Rudra's max attack power. It was an unstoppable attack. Splash. Critical hit. 34,000. Rumi came back to everyone's vision, dagger in hand, as he was cut clean in half. his upper half being separate from his lower half. He was killed a horrific death. He kept mumbling, "Impossible. Impossible. Ruby's mine," before entering eternal rest. The room went silent, as Fry looked at Rudra with complicated eyes. The guy had definitely saved his daughter's life. But that sword and that move he used, it is definitely the elven sword, used by the first king of the elves, the great high elf Gondolin. The room broke into uproar. The despicable first prince had tried to assassinate the princess. The moment the prince was killed by Rudra, Yum silently snatched away the semi-legendary artifact from his dead body. It would be a great help to one of the assassins in the guild. SMG could benefit greatly from the item. However, Fry was not the only one who noticed Rudra's sword. The Elven Council, familiar with the folklore, also understood the move Rudra unleashed was not normal. Someone shouted, "That was the world slash! That is the Elven sword! The Elven sword has accepted a human as a master! The first king's sword! The first king's sword has a human master!" That bishop gained the sword's recognition. Fry said, "Honorary bishop, may I inquire where did you obtain that sword? And has it binded to you?" Rudra did not know about this bit at all. No one had claimed the Elven sword in his past life, and the item had nothing about the first Elven king written in its description. He said, "It was a gift from a friend. It acknowledged me in a tough battle as its master." There was more uproar. "The bishop, the oracle, the wielder of Elven sword, the one who unearthed the conspiracy." Many words were spoken about Rudra. The cardinal thought it was a right moment as he and the paladins flung to the cover of the church's bishop, his eyes full of reverence and respect. Rudra indeed behaved and maintained the dignity of a church official throughout the court. He was in high spirits. The church finally had an oracle after 150 years, who was undoubtedly a great warrior too. However, at this moment Rudra said, "My work here is not done. The goddess showed me one more enemy, who I have to deal with." Rudra pointed his sword at one of the unassuming courtiers standing in the corner. The eyes of the courtier widened in shock when Rudra pointed his sword at him. He wasted no time after that, dropping a paralyzing mist potion on the ground and bolting for the exit. However, too bad for him. Johnny was there to stop him. Rudra had long given Johnny the instructions to stop the man. Johnny took out his epic-rated cane sword. As he swung it clean towards the bolting minister's neck, the minister momentarily lost his balance when the assassin suddenly came out of stealth to block his exit. Hence, to avoid the sword slashing his neck, he let himself fall flat on his bum. However, too bad for him. That momentary fall let the royal guards catch up to him. As he was restrained, he felt the entire situation to be unbelievable. How did the bishop snuff him out? There was no other explanation other than that he was truly the oracle. There was a new great threat to his organization, and although he would die here now, he would make sure to inform them. Using a forbidden technique to kill himself in exchange for passing on an information scroll, the minister died before he was interrogated. Just as he died, his white smooth elven skin turned dark chocolate. "Dark elf," someone shouted in disgust. The minister was a dark elf, an enemy of their entire race. That disgusting bastard had been living amongst them as a minister for so long. Who knows how many secrets of the state he sold out? Fry closed his eyes, sitting on his throne. Today a typhoon had hit his kingdom. If not for the oracle helping him in time, God knows what could have happened. "Silence," he shouted. "Thank you, Honorary Bishop Shikuni. You have done a great meritorious service to the kingdom of elves. Not only did you expose the wrongs of the queen and the first prince, but you also saved my daughter from assassination and uncovered a dark elf spy in our midst. You are also in possession of one of our first king's treasure, the elven sword. I would have respectfully asked you to return it and replace with a sword of similar quality. However, now that you have binded with it, we can only let the matter go. However, for all the meritorious services you did for the kingdom, I, King Fry, the 14th monarch of the elves, grant you one wish. I will grant you anything you wish, for that is within my power. You may ask for what you want. ////// Good job, everyone. We have completed the golden ticket target yet again. Hence, there will be a bonus today. Special shout out to King Spy 25i for the 5,000 coin gift. Thank you for the big gift, brother. I will work extra because of the support you showed. ///// Chapter 194. Your boy ain't no simp. Fry had given Rudra one wish. Any wish that he wanted. Rudra only had to ask. He could have asked for the legendary item Flames of Truth, or some other extremely precious elven treasure. Rudra knew what he wanted to ask for. He badly wanted to ask for the princess's hand in marriage. And the AI had made it so that if he asked for it, he would be engaged to her with a quest to marry her. However, at the moment where he was to actually ask for her hand in marriage, Rudra hesitated. His mind was clouded and his heart felt heavy. It was not the elation he was expecting to experience. He felt like asking for the hand of the princess was infinitely more difficult than he initially imagined. Like it went against his core principles itself. He looked at Karna at that moment, who was smiling and supportive of Rudra. It was at that moment that Rudra realized what he was missing. It was his amazing guild. His only desire in this life was to give his parents a good life, send little Max to a good school, and cure his mother of her illness. He also had a desire to humiliate those who humiliated him. Nitin Advani was not a threat to him anymore. He was safely living in the outside with Ethan Gray as his partner and brother. The only mission that was left to complete was becoming the strongest guild master and make his guild the true elites, the best damn guild on the planet. A flood of memories of his struggles came in his mind. The wars, the dungeon runs, the celebrations, the tension. The guild members revered him as a leader. His authority was unquestionable in the guild. How could he selfishly put his own interests before the guild's? Is this really him? Rudra looked at Princess Ruby at that moment. She was looking at him with puppy eyes, apparently gratified that he saved her life. Ruby had a swarm of emotions ongoing inside her. The Oracle had actually helped her. He had helped the entire Elven Kingdom. Her own brother would have killed her without his help. He was her knight in shining armor. The slash he did using the Elven sword was so strong it made her feel like it could cut the world in half. She had never felt this way before. Her heart was beating fast. When Rudra looked towards her, she did not know why, but she blushed. Rudra saw Ruby's cute expression, and his raging emotions calmed down. He knew he liked this girl. He knew he wanted to marry her if possible. However, when he weighed that against his dream and the true elites, she lost every time in that matchup. For him, his guild was his priority. He had to choose here. The road to becoming the strongest guild master was not easy. But that was his dream, that was his determination. He looked at Princess Ruby again, now with cold eyes, as he thought, sorry princess, but guild leader Shikuni ain't no simp. Rudra turned his gaze over from her and towards King Fry. Fry was watching Rudra with anxiousness. Rudra could literally ask him for the priceless elven treasures, and he would be forced to comply. That was the way of the elves. They honored those who helped them. Rudra took a deep breath as he said, Your Majesty, I am a guild master of a guild in Hazelgrove Kingdom. There will soon be a scuffle to decide the overlords of various villages, towns, and cities. Hence, I would request Your Majesty to lend me an elven archer division to aid me and my guild members for this conquest. I swear by my honor, I will not put the elven division intentionally in harm's way, and return them to you after my conquest is complete. Frey's eyes widened in shock. Of all the treasures in the Elven Kingdom, the bishop chose to request for an elven archer division to help him in his ambitions. Frey's evaluation of the bishop went up by a lot. He did not take unnecessary advantage of the elven generosity. Fry smiled. He liked the human bishop. It was worth building ties with him, especially since he was an oracle too. Fry said, The first division of archers commanded by Sir Legolas will be lended on a 3-month loan to you. Sir Legolas will be instructed to follow your commands to the best of his abilities, but he will still retain authority regarding risking the lives of the elves, since you did not overstep the limits of generosity shown by us. I, King Fry, will bestow upon you and your guild an entry permit into Vanaheim. Any member of your guild is welcome in the Kingdom of Elves. If in future you make a teleportation formation in your city, the elves will be open to connecting it to the teleportation formation in the marketplace, Fry declared. Rudra's eyes widened in shock. He was not only bestowed with the best elven division, the first division headed by Sir Legolas, but also given invaluable benefits. This was 100% worth it. Rudra bowed in gratitude. The turmoil in his heart had calmed. He knew he made the right decision. He looked up and took one more look at the elven princess. He sighed, thinking maybe some other time. He smiled and gave her a wink, before bowing again and taking his leave from the court. Karna, Yum and Johnny gave him raised eyebrows looks, but all had a smile on their face. They understood that the leader made a tough choice, but he chose the guild above everything else in the end. Johnny and Yum wanted to explain to Rudra, after seeing the beauty that the elven princess was themselves, that he was a man with great taste in women. However, Rudra was flooded with officials from the church. He had to deal with the aftermath of declaring himself as the Oracle. / bonus chapter for reaching the golden ticket target. P.S. Rudra will not always be single. There will be a slow romance plotline. / Chapter 195 expansion. Rudra had a hard time with the officials of the church. However, he had somehow gained over 5,000 reputation points, with the Church of Light as a result. 3,000 more, and he could be promoted to the position of honorary cardinal. Then he could mobilize paladins under the church's banner. He had no interest in becoming a cardinal though. It was not worth working towards. He would let nature take its course with this one. If in the future he would cross paths with a quest that raised his reputation with the church, then he would take it. But he would not go out of his way to earn the missing reputation points. The first division under Legolas had been ordered to mobilize in 3 days' time. They would arrive in Purple Haze City 5 days later. That was the perfect time, as according to Rudra's reincarnation knowledge, only a week was left until the conquest of cities started. It was a week since the second update, and today should be the day where the conquest was officially introduced. Yum, Karna and Johnny were very supportive of Rudra throughout the journey back to Hazelgrove Kingdom, as they understood that the man had made tough choices. Rudra was thankful for this as he needed it. Images of Princess Ruby kept flashing his mind, and he knew that he would not be able to get her out of his mind anytime soon. However, he did not regret his decision to ask for the Archer division. His goals were too big for him to succumb to personal desires. He had not given up on the princess, only that the time was incorrect. Someday he would go back for her to Vanaheim. Coming back to Purple Haze, Rudra engrossed himself in preparatory work for the coming scuffle. Meetings were scheduled with each of the elders, as reforms were started to be made in the guild as well. Department heads were introduced under elders, who would be looking at the day-to-day working of specific departments. The legislative and administration division of the True Elites was expanded, now including Amelia as an elder and Pink Lotus as department manager. 50 new recruits were added in this division, who were handpicked in the real world with knowledge about running a successful administration. Professors of macroeconomics, societal behavior, cultural heritage, and many more from prestigious universities, such as Harvard and Stanford, were hired at astronomical pays and made to sign non-disclosure agreements. About 700 new lifestyle players were hired by the guild. A new department manager was appointed in Alex Hudson, a talented architect who was famous for his artistic building designs and unique construction ideas. He had also majored in human resource management in real life, and was hailed as the #1 architect in Hazelgrove Kingdom. The Lifestyle Guild was to see rapid expansion, except the Potionology department directly under Fatty Kalash. The other departments would see a blended approach, with inter-reliance and standard manufacturing practices. Rudra had planned on opening one flagship elite lifestyle store in every major city in the continent in the coming future. He planned on opening 21 new locations, making Elite Lifestyle a continental brand. Hence, he wanted to standardize the product lists and shop layouts. Naturally, that meant he overloaded Fatty with work. Why was he preparing this stuff before the struggle for becoming city overlords even started? It was because he knew that following the city supremacy struggle, the landscape of the game would change forever, and land prices would soar. He was preparing to move fast, while competition was still low. While Rudra, Karna, Johnny and Jung were away on the mission, Rudra had entrusted SMG to conduct preliminary rounds of elite recruitments for the Assault Guild. There were over 100,000 applicants wishing to join the elites. However, after SMG's preliminary vetting, only a small total of 2,000 were left. This was an abysmal number. The elites' recruitment standards were so high that 98% of the applicants failed the preliminaries. After the first and second round, only 1,200 applicants were left, of which Rudra looked at the personal profiles of the remaining candidates, and those he found shady, or those who had no families and nothing to lose and could be bribed or bought, were rejected. Those who were selected were given a promised contract and a monthly pay of $100,000, and were asked to move to the elite tower along with their families. Only those who finally accepted the conditions and moved into the upside were finally accepted into the guild. Overall, the guild saw a massive upgrade in numbers. The total elites were increased to whopping 2,100 members, 50 new logistic members, 700 new lifestyle members, and 800 new assault squad members were added to the already existing member count, hence bringing the total head count at 2,100 elites. More and more people had quit the service guild, however, and the numbers had dwindled to 9,987 service members of the initial 100,000. The rest chose to reset their accounts. With this shuffle, the service division was also put under the logistics division headed by Pink Lotus. The assault division was headed by Vice Guild Master Karna himself. Apart from that, a secret subdivision called the intelligence division was also formed, headed by SMG. Its main job was to monitor certain targets and people in other main cities in the coming future for intel gathering purposes. However, they were not an official division as such, as they were designated only under the assault member banner. The inauguration ceremony of the new members would be conducted in 2 days' time, where a massive celebration would take place. However, before that, the much-awaited announcement came. System announcement. In 1 week's time at 12 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time, the city domination event would take place across the map. // Good job on completing both the Power Stone and the Golden Ticket targets. We will have 2 bonus chapters today as a result. Keep up the good work. Hope you enjoy the coming Overlord of Purple Haze City arc // Chapter 196 The Rules. System announcement. In 1 week's time at 12 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time, the city domination event would take place across the map. The rules of the event are: 1. The event will span over 2 days, 48 hours, where there will be a massive beast attack on every settlement in place. A mass curfew will be issued in the city for normal residents. Hence, no citizens would be out in the city in the duration of the event. All shops will be sealed to prevent looting and plundering, and all NPC and government buildings will not be accessible. Merit points will be given for every beast slain. The guild with the highest merit points at the end of the event will be given the management rights for the city. There will be a city token in every major city. The guild in possession of the city token at the end of the event will directly gain 100,000 merit points. The local guards and military division will also actively combat the influx of beasts. Assisting them in getting rid of the beasts will also lead to gaining merit points. However, obstructing them will lead to losing merit points. Note, the guilds will only gain management rights to the city. They will still need to submit to the monarch of the country. Failure to do so will cause a war with the royal faction. Banding of guilds and alliances are not allowed. Only a single guild may gain management rights over a location. 2. A guild may apply to participate in 3 locations within their own kingdom. However, they can only gain management rights to 1 location. In case a guild wins over 2 locations, then they can choose and only gain management over a single territory. The other territory will be conceded to the guild with second highest merit points. If the guild with second highest merit points also has another location as their main base, then the territory will be ceded back to the ruling monarch as a union territory. General overview for governing the territory. Once the management rights to a territory are obtained by a guild, they will be required to pay a fixed annual amount to the ruling monarch as tax. Other than that, they will have autonomy over development of their respective territories and their management. A guild can implement their own administration and taxation systems. They can recruit their own military regiments, not exceeding 5% of the total city population. The managing guild will be responsible for public safety, health and hygiene of a city. Annual examinations will be held by the monarch of the country. Failing 2 times in the examination would result in losing the management rights of the city. The city managing a territory may choose to blacklist other guilds from entering their city, or imposing heavy tariffs on trade with particular factions. City wars would become open in the future exactly 1 year after completion of the city management event. A good clean city with good public order, low taxes, good culture would lead to more NPC migrating into the city, increasing land prices and overall tax income. The converse is also possible. Hence, proper management of the territory is advised. Getting a foothold by developing a good territory is beneficial towards a guild's overall development. Hence, choose wisely what territory you want to choose to manage. Geographical location. Current infrastructure of the place. Total population. Every factor must be considered before choosing. Good luck, adventurers. The system announcement was here. Following the system announcement, immediately an imperial edict by Emperor Amon was heard throughout Hazel Grove. Hazel Grove Kingdom announcement. In a never-before-seen cataclysmic event, a massive beast tide is approaching the continent. The military in itself would not be sufficient to deal with the event, as it is at a scale where every small village to every big city would be affected. For every non-combatant, they are strictly forced to undergo complete lockdown within their houses. In 6 days' time, when the beast tide arrives, this curfew is not to be broken. Offenders will be tried by the martial court for rebellion. The goddess is blessed. Players who cannot die are requested to help with the beast tide. There will naturally be benefits to doing so. Hence, Emperor Amon have decided to implement a merit-based system by which one may gain management rights to a territory by helping with the beast tide. The rules of the event are as follows. They were the same rules as in the system announcement. A similar imperial edict was issued continent-wide with the same system by each ruling monarch. The NPCs of the world had become terrified following the edict. However, to the players, this was only a large-scale event and a massive opportunity. Every guild would pounce on the opportunity. A serious deliberation would be in place to discuss the potential territories to compete for. Although the event allowed a guild to register for up to 3 territories, it was stupid to dilute your forces to 1/3 numbers. Most guilds would only strategically compete for 1 or 2 locations, the second one being the sure shot backup. Many factors came into play while choosing the territories to compete for. 1. the lucrativeness of the location, bigger cities would have more competition. 2. Geographical safety, whether or not the territory was defendable to external attacks. 3. Population and potential tax income. Every guild at the end of the day was there for this benefit. A good territory may earn millions of gold a month from taxes. Converting to real-world money, it was billions of dollars. To major corporations around the world, this was a must-have event, where the location they selected would become the backbone of their expansion and the foundation of their growth. First-rate guilds would have fierce competition to gain rights over the bigger cities. The biggest one being, of course, the capital Purple Haze City. The 7-day countdown had started. It was the race to become overlords of Purple Haze City. // bonus chapter for hitting the golden ticket target. You guys are killing it. Making me write a bonus chapter every single day. The bonus for Power Stones is coming right next. // Chapter 197. Welcome all. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye as the time to welcome new elites came close. The atmosphere in the guild shifted to that of members behaving like respectful senior brothers from cultivation sects. Everyone wanted to create a strong impression of themselves as the new batch of elites arrived. Some were even rehearsing what they would say in deep voices. Rudra chuckled at this atmosphere. It seemed as if everyone wanted to convince the newcomers of how awesome the guild was. Rudra was the one who was least affected by the atmosphere. For him, the guild's performance and its treatment towards the members was the most important. If the treatment was good and the goals were achieved, the morale would naturally remain high. The elites already had a lot of prestige in the Hazel Grove region. He was not worried about the new members not being impressed. If anything, they should feel blessed to be a part of the guild true elites. It was an achievement in of itself. That of all the players out there, you are considered a true elite. There were a lot of new members joining today. Rudra had decided upon this expansion, taking into consideration that running a territory was not easy. To effectively manage the Purple Haze City, talented individuals were needed. The existing workforce was pitifully low. Rudra decided to hold a welcoming ceremony this time inside the virtual world. Existing members lined up at the gate, in guild robes, and with their signature gray mount by their side. There were 2 such rows, both facing each other, making a passageway. The new members walked in the guild, passing from between the 2 files. As the existing members tried their best to look cool as the juniors passed them. Clearly it worked. The dignity of the elites, with the majestic gray dire wolf, intimidated the new members. It gave them a feeling that they had truly joined a big organization. When the new members passed by Skyla, some audibly gulped at her beauty. Some were throwing sneaky glances at Naomi, while some blasted at Yua. At the end of the 2 lines stood the elders, Vice Guild Master Karna and Guild Master Shikuni, smiling as they welcomed the new members. As soon as the new members were accepted formally, their clothes would change into the guild robes, and they would also get the signature gray dire wolf mount of the elites. They were then supposed to join the existing lines and expand it. By the time the last member officially joined, the file had extended to about 200 meters in length. There were 2,100 elites now, from various fields with various strengths. Yet compared to the 570 or so initial elites, the guild was bustling now. Rudra asked everyone to move to the guild hall. Hence, the mounts were recalled and everyone started to move towards the guild hall. Excited chatter could be heard everywhere. The new members were extremely happy to get the new mounts. They could not wait to try them. They had never heard of every member getting a mount of the same species. When they had heard that all elites used the same mount, they assumed that they would only tame the gray dire wolf from the wild. However, the truth was that every member upon entry received a gray dire wolf mount. They had never heard of any other guild that did this. How the system allowed it, they had no idea. Was it a special quest? Is it a perk of being in a platinum guild? They had no idea. Not in their wildest dreams could they have imagined that the reality was that their guild leader had negotiated this feature from the Cuber Corporation. It was an exclusive feature for the elites till the ban on bombs was still in place. The average player levels had risen to level 36. Yet they were still a far cry away from the threshold set by Cuber Corporation for the use of bombs. Rudra knew that very well. Actually, in the wars and the quests, leveling was a department he had consistently lagged behind on. Not just him, but it was the situation with the entire guild. Nitwe was the only exception, who still focused on leveling up. The guild had once dominated the leveling rankings, holding all the spots 1 through 10. However, now only 10 elites were in the top 100 spots. Nitwit still held the number 1 spot at level 54, and SMG held second place at 52, followed by Rudra at 51. Rudra was only there because he leveled up thrice, killing the Griffin with Johnny, Yum and Karna. The average guild threshold was around level 49. It was by no means a low overall level. With the global average being at level 36, they were sufficiently strong. However, everyone in the guild was not satisfied with being above average. They were the true elites. They had long resolved that after the conquest for city supremacy was over, they would completely focus on leveling up and getting stronger. Rudra took the stage as for the first time, he saw a huge crowd 3 times the usual size in the guild hall. He smiled as he said, "Welcome all new family members to the guild. I am the guild leader of this small guild, but I prefer to run it as a family. So for the new ones here, let me give you a brief introduction about the power structure of the guild." Rudra paused. He looked at new members' anxious faces. The older ones were barely holding their laughter. "There is no power structure," he said in a low tone, and the old members bursted laughing. Even Rudra started to chuckle. "There is the vice guild leader Karna. He is an excellent warrior, a great commander, and a good friend. There is the elder, the talented assassin SMG. I would not want to be in the shadows if he were the opponent. There is the talented head of logistics Amelia. She is the heart and soul of this guild who bands the guild together. Otherwise, we would just be a bunch of misfits." Amelia blushed at the compliment. "There is the #1 player in the level rankings. Another terrific warrior, Neatwit. It's a rare treat to see him in the guild hall. So feast your eyes today, because most times he would be out leveling in the wild, never to be seen in the guild." Neatwit awkwardly scratched his nose. It was true. He was seldom seen in the guild. "There is Sir Johnny English, a gentleman of discipline and a true professional. His skills far surpass even the most talented players in the guild." Johnny just nodded his head in response. He was calm and composed, but secretly he was extremely delighted. He liked the Shikuni kid a lot. He knew how to please the old man. "There is the bank and the backbone of the guild's economy, Sir Fatty Kalash." Fatty instantly frowned and glared at Rudra. How dare he introduce him with the Fatty tag? This friend of his was in deep *** now. Rudra said, "All of them are elders, but they are elders to help the guild function better. Their spot is earned through respect of the guild members and contribution to the guild, or I have placed faith in them to do so in the future. There are no strict rules in the guild. Members are usually free to do whatever they want. There is seldom a guild quest issued, but even that will be optional. You just have to work in a way that you feel is the best for your individual development and collective development of the guild. Should you fall, should you fail, then the guild shall have your back. Low finances? No problem, the guild has you reimbursed. Bad equipment? No problem. The warehouse has a stock of the top-notch weapons and equipments. Problem clearing quests. Ask other members for help. Here are the true elites. We only live by one motto. And I hope you all make it your motto too." Saying that, Rudra glanced at Karna and motioned for him to take the lead. Karna was embarrassed, but resolve soon filled his eyes. He cleared his throat as he shouted, "One for all." And the entire guild of old members joined in. All for one. Go elites, go! Energy filled the guild hall. Even the new members could feel the comfort and conviction behind those words. This was not your average guild. Everyone here benefited by the guild's amazing system, and in turn voluntarily tried their best to contribute to the guild. It was the ideal system, one that everyone wished to achieve but could not. Only because of the unique structure of the True Elites Guild was it possible. Rudra shouted, "One more time, guys." Now with everyone. He took the lead this time, and the entire guild joined him. Every single member, at the top of their voice. One for all for one. Go elites, go! The welcome ceremony was over. The new batch had integrated with the old one. The traditional Batch 2 photo was clicked of all new recruits and hung on the guild wall alongside the Batch 1 photo. Rudra looked at the new members excitedly chatting with the older ones. Talking about Omega. He smiled. He would let the members have today for fun. As come tomorrow, preparations for the city conquest would start at full swing. // Sorry for the late bonus chapter for hitting the Power Stone target, making it over 1,600 instead of the usual 1,100 to compensate for the lost time. Shout out to Nero Z for the 500 coin gift. Thank you for the patronage. // Chapter 198. The Archer Division arrives. The next day, after the entrance ceremony, the new members settled in and preparations for the coming event began in full swing. Rudra's reincarnation knowledge played a major role in the lead-up to the war. When it was announced that the NPC shops and buildings as well as all government buildings will be sealed, many organizations understood the need to buy properties all around the city. However, in spite of the climbing demand, not a single guild was able to purchase a single plot of land in Purple Haze City. Only player-owned shops and spaces would be available to be used against the bee's tide. And the availability of a strategic location such as a house or a shop where one could place a medical and supplies unit or a reinforcement center was immense. Many posts were seen on the forums. Many guilds were willing to buy land even at triple the market rate in specific locations. And they posted a message on the forums for the same. However, Rudra was not interested in selling. He had land all over Purple Haze City. Tomorrow, piece by piece, the Archballistae would transport it to the various shops and plot of lands. A total of 53 Archballistae would be placed on the roof of Purple Haze City buildings that were at least 3-story tall and owned by the guild. This was the biggest equalizer that the guild possessed. Rudra was thankful to the alliance, as raiding their warehouses had provided the guild with ample supply of arrows and scrap metal. Ever since the update announcement was made, demand for weapons and arrows had skyrocketed. There were many bulk buyers, but almost non-existent sellers. It was careful planning that Rudra had already stocked up enough that the guild did not need to worry about the supply. Rudra was an aggressive purchase maker. He would reinvest 90% of the profits the guild made into improving the guild. He had not yet taken a single dollar in pay from the guild. He would spend the immense wealth of the elites to make sure that under no circumstances would the guild ever have any supply or equipment problems. He had already bought various products in bulk that costed him hundreds of thousands of gold coins currently. That will only increase in price in maybe 2 or 3 years down the line. But he was willing to hold that investment, as he had belief in the guild's money-making capacity. The gold mines plus lifestyle guild's income plus Karna's treasure loot from the dungeon plus the heist of the royal vault plus the loot from winning the war against Alliance had filled the guild warehouse with gold to the brim. If one was to assume that true elites would be one of the richest guilds in the continent, they would not be wrong. The elites were definitely top 10 richest guilds of the continent. Yet, Rudra's aggressive buying of land, of resources, generous bonuses to guild members, astronomical spendings at auctions resulted in the treasury in only being moderately rich in gold, however filled with countless items and treasures. Today was the day when Legolas and his first division of troops were scheduled to come. Rudra could not hide the arrival of the massive contingent of troops to his guild HQ. He had already gained a transit permit for their entry. His status as a duke and a one-night playing a big role for that. Otherwise, a massive troop contingent marching towards a city would raise alarm flags everywhere around the country as an act of aggression. However, Patricia had personally negotiated with Emperor Amon for the permit, who was glad that a neighbor country's contingent was coming over to help their country's peril of a beast tide. He granted the permit without any questions. This was only possible because the one to ask for permission was a one-knight. The one-knights had sworn fealty to the throne and could never betray the monarch. Legolas and 10,000 elven archers marched into the city walls of Purple Haze City. Immediately a lot of attention was drawn towards the entourage of elves who were marching in files, bows slinged over their shoulders, and a quiver of arrows on their backs. The troops headed straight towards the inner city, and inside the guild headquarters of true elites, massive waves and talking points erupted. A few days ago, it was seen that guild leader Shakuni had entered the elven city of Vanaheim successfully, and now the elves had marched into his guild headquarters. Many speculated the nature of their relationship. It did not seem hostile like the emissaries from Nine Clouds' kingdom that came knocking on the doors of Demolition Boys. However, the forums went wild with speculations. People used their innovative minds to create all sorts of conspiracy theories. However, the fact of the matter was that the elites had made it to trending news again. Rudra, Karna, and Amelia welcomed Legolas and his first division at the guild grounds. Rudra went up to the legendary Tier 3 archer and commander of elven forces as he shook his hand in a firm handshake. Even though Legolas was a peak Tier 3 archer, Rudra was not intimidated by him at all. He calmly looked him in the eye as he gave him a confident smile. Legolas had already heard about Rudra a lot before getting dispatched for the assignment. Rudra was the rumored oracle, who had done great merit to the Elven Kingdom by exposing to criminals and saving the life of their princess. The kingdom was indebted to this man. However, upon being granted a favor to ask, he asked for the help of the elves in this coming conquest. Legolas was shocked to see that he could not gauge Rudra's power at all. Rudra's eyes of truth blocked him from inspecting his stats, adding to the mystery of the benefactor of the elves. Legolas said, "Commander Legolas of 1st Division, reporting for duty. For the next 3 months, you may ask the 1st Division for any reasonable demands and assign tasks. We will honor the Elven King's words, and will follow the instructions to the best of our abilities." Rudra bowed politely. He said, "We are honored by your presence and the presence of the 1st Division here in our guild." Legolas nodded. Then he said, "We also have a guest traveling with us. If you will be gracious enough to provide appropriate lodging for her stay, I would be grateful," Legolas said as he pointed towards his troops. The troops moved aside to reveal surrounded by 5 maids, a gorgeous princess in pastel green dress. She was a beauty beyond compare. Her fair